The first thing you need to do is have two images to help you with your main image and your background. I actually used a light board to kind of trace through some of the details that I wanted to pull from the artwork I found online. I did not pull everything, but kind of trace through what you want, and then you're going to decide which part of your artwork is going to be ink pen and which part you might do something else with, maybe watercolor paint or colored pencils. So I decided I'm going to do the face in ink pen, and my goal is to add as much shading with hatching and cross hatching with my ink pen as I can, so that I can create a lot of different values and make it really interesting. So here I am just starting with the eyes, and then I'm going to start to add in different values, which remember is the darkness or lightness of a color, as I start to shade in the entire portrait. As you start to add shading to portions of the artwork, where it's lighter, you're going to want to spread out your hatching and cross hatching. And where it's darker, you're going to want to pull those lines closer together. You can even have areas that are left mostly white if it's really, really a light area of the artwork. But I went ahead and added as much shading as I possibly could, with kind of the idea that I wanted to empty out the pen of ink. So I was just shading and shading and shading. Again, on the areas that you want darker, you're going to put the lines closer together. So I wanted to kind of show the contour of her face. So I went a little darker under the cheekbones. And then I also kind of wanted to show the curves of the face. So there's no straight shading on her face. I curved kind of down where the cheekbones lead toward the center of the face. And then I came down off the bridge of the nose to show that that's kind of curved. So there really shouldn't be straight lines. I want you to think about where curves of the face are as you are shading. If you choose to do a face, you might be choosing to do something else as your main subject. But if it is a curved subject, you should definitely be shading with a curve. And then at the edges here, using my reference image, I'm adding much darker shading because next to the edges of her face, it's much, much darker. Once you complete your hatching and cross hatching, you can start your background. And that will be your choice of medium. I chose colored pencil. Once you have finished your main subject with cross hatching and hatching for value, then you're going to decide how you want to do the background. Now the background does have to show foreground, middle ground, and background. This subject is obviously in the foreground. She's very far forward on the page. Now my background, I do have my horizon line showing back here, and from that is my vanishing point and my converging lines. I drew some of these mushrooms, which was inspired by this. Again, not an exact replica, but I drew my mushrooms in the background. And I am going to, I think I'm going to try out colored pencil. You could do anything you want in the background. You could even continue with cross hatching and hatching and creating different value. You can also incorporate that in with another medium. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get started. I do want to show value within the artwork. I think I am going to use my ink pen and kind of start outlining my mushroom. Clean up your pencil lines if they're going to be visible. And then I will kind of get started with using some different colors, different shades of my colored pencils for my work. I did a lot of cross hatching and hatching before I started my colored pencils, and then I took time layering them in and used a blending marker to blend out that top of that mushroom. And then the rest I just kind of layered in some different colors to create kind of an enchanted forest background.